We're going to go inside the cockpit, so we're going to show you a little bit inside of it, with or without power, so you see what goes on or not on, having or not having the power connected to the aircraft or the engine running. All right, so here we are in the cockpit. That's of the two-seater. We have a couple of modifications I'm going to show you around. We do have power to the aircraft right now. That's what this noise is. So we'll be able to see a few of the systems working at least. All right, so here we go. Basically, this is how it looks like right now by sitting here in the cockpit. From the back here, most of the things are the same, like this side right here, with the dampers, fuel and auxiliary trims, emergency UHF radio, UHF, no radar, at least the panel is not there, although the radar is on the airplane. Flap and throttle, that's military. That's first AB sector, and that's full AB right here. Again, military, idle, cutoff. Landing gear handle, lights and brake systems. These are additional lights that we can see a little closer here. And so there's the trim lights basically and the anti-skid light over there. These are the two igniters. When I start them like that, there's a 30 seconds of clicking from the sparkers. We can probably barely hear it. I don't know if there's a little windy today. Over here, landing gear and external stores, flaps indication, which is up, both of them. So as we were saying, all the external stores capability is being retained, as well as the controls for it. So because those are used in some of the R&D missions that we fly with external stores mounted on the airplane. Hook, that's how you check the system and that's how you deploy it. And here there's the main part of the panel. I'm going to take these off. These are the leg restraint, so we can see a little better. I'm moving to the right and then going a couple of more details and all the way down here. So going back to the center, we had to move a few instruments around, but we figured out that this current layout works fine for us. G-meter, AOA, equivalent angle of attack, UHF radio, VHF radio, that's the standard original anemometer and Mach indicator. Altimeter, standby horizon, VSI, engine instruments over here. And then we have we added two indicators here. This is voltages for the two emergency or the two only batteries on the airplane. The two new G5s connected to the G650 ADS-B and GPS system. And over here, fuel, cabin altitude, hydraulic, oxygen, warning panel. That's with all the indications. And the slow light, landing gear unsafe, aileron and rudder unlimited, and IFF mode 4, that one there is deactivated. There's no IFF mode 4 right now installed on the aircraft. Here everything is standard. The radar console, it's been taken out. I should call it the screen. Although the aircraft is cabled, although the aircraft is wired for it, and the radar is still in the radome. On the east side here, oxygen panel, pressure suit panel, the iPad which is connected to the G650 and was, USB and cigarette lighter for other accessories that we might use in the cockpit. This part is basically remained the same, you know, with the lightning, air conditioning system and so forth. Back here there's a control for the air refueling probe, never used, and a switch here that would allow to control the jet start, the cart, for starting the engine, although we do always we do all those operations visually with our crew chiefs. Right here there's a couple of switches. The way we lay these out is that we were able to add a VHF radio, which is a different impedance for the audio side, but we integrated that with the original UHF system, meaning that at the touch of a switch, this one right here, we can select one system or the other. In other words, if we are on UHF, our UHF radio is active, and that would work with the original push-to-talk on the throttle, and this is the repeater for the frequency. The intercom would work as well, which is right here, and that would be part of the UHF system. If we flip this switch in VHF, this radio is active, and it's actually we had to custom build an impedance adapter, so the aircraft sees this radio just like an UHF radio or military standard radio with military impedances. So the intercom of this radio is now active. It works between the two cockpits, and we were also able to funnel in the audios from the UHF and from the horns and the warnings of the aircraft to the audio in of the VHF system, so we don't lose any of those, basically. So in other words, when we use the VHF system, we can still obviously talk to each other. We can hear the warnings from the airplane, from the aircraft, and we can also monitor the UHF. The VHF push-to-talk, we use this one right here. So now we have two push-to-talks. This one for the VHF and the original one on the throttle for the UHF. This is the original avionics panel to take control of the avionics. Right now we have control of the radar, the UHF, the TACAN, and the nav system from the front cockpit. If we were to sit in the back cockpit and we would flip those toggles and we would get the green light in the back, it means that they would have in the back seat the control of those systems, meaning that the UHF radio, for example, if they take the control from the back seat, this is the panel that would be active at that moment in time. All the original T-handles are still there. This is the drag chute release, the manual landing gear handle, the ram air turbine, and the emergency nozzle closure. Right here, this is the canopy jettison, and this is the pedal adjustment. The 6 handles, they need to be all in. That's part of the cockpit checks. So I'm going to move now on the left side here, and I'm going to show you the connection. This is a life support connection, oxygen and audio for the helmet. Moving down here, that's a Martin Baker plate of the ejection seat, which has the COM here that goes to the hose we just saw. This is the anti-G connection, and this is the pressure suit connection for the flights with the partial pressure suit. We're going to go and see how the canopy works. The canopy works completely manual in the normal mode, let's call it that way. So there's like this push button here that needs to be pushed to release it. And then the canopy sits a little bit open, this is how most of the time we taxi, and the aircraft used to be taxied, because it allows a breeze to come in during taxi, because with low power setting, these systems don't allow for so much air conditioning. So at low power setting, especially on the ground, the canopy, it's either open or cracked open like this. To close it, that's the main lever right here. And we're going to see some hooks. There's 3 of them, 1, 2, and 3 on the back, that are going to grab it and hold it down. And there they are, 1, 2, and 3 on the back. Now the canopy is closed. There's also an inflatable seal all around it. Now it's not inflated because the pneumatic system is not on, since the engine is not running. To open it, it's the other way around, so we push forward, and that's how we crack it open. Again, a very good position to be when you're taxiing or after landing, so you get a very good breeze coming in here, which makes you feel very good after a hot day here in Florida. Here in front, as you can see, looks like an Indy car, I guess, or a Formula 1 car. You have a very narrow sight in the front. This is heated, and only the left side is heated, because it was designed to be able to fly in information even in adverse weather, and they assume that the wingman will be on the right side. So this is heated. Those are not heated, although I never had issues with ice, to tell you the truth. And actually, when you go supersonic, quite high speed, more than 1.6 or 7, these actually get warm just before the friction with the air. That's pretty interesting. I'm going to open the canopy all the way. You want to push it up and not let it go until it locks. And now it's locked, so it doesn't come down unless you push the release out there. That's about it. I'm going to kick the power off of the external power unit, so we can have an idea of what we have going on only with the batteries, which is basically almost nothing. I'm going to show you in a second. So we're back in the cockpit. Much quieter now. There's no power to the aircraft, and we do have power to the two batteries are connected. So these two batteries, this is an aircraft that can't do much at all unless there's an external power unit or the engine is running. Hook release, the igniters, the fire light system. So if I test it, I can. This is the only thing I see, the two red lights there, the fire light. So those are the only DC system on this airplane basically are the one that I'm showing you now. That work off of the battery. This is an aircraft, however, that even in flight, if all the power, electrical power is lost, the aircraft will keep flying normally with basically only few limitations, like landing gear extension has to be done differently, but it will work, or the flap extension. Other than that, the engines and the flight controls will just keep working absolutely fine. All right, now we're gonna get out and we're gonna say a couple of words about the ejection seat. So this is the ejection seat. What we're seeing here is a Martin Baker IQ7A ejection seat, which is a 0-0 seat, meaning that would work from the ground. Actually, on the two-seater, there's a 60 knots limitation to allow separation with the canopies in case there's two ejections at the same time. It's been upgraded from the C2, Lockheed C2 seats, and even before that, the original seat, which was actually a downward ejection seat, believe it or not, because the original technology wasn't allowing a seat that was going to eject upwards to clear and allowing the clearance of the tail. So that's why they went for that option at the beginning. The ejection happened pulling either the main handle over here or the one in the middle of the legs on the bottom side of the seat. And they would do exactly the same thing. They would do exactly the same thing with the difference that this one on top here, when it's pulled, it deploys a face shield or a cover for the face to protect for a blast at very high speed, if that was the case of an ejection at very high speeds. A couple of features is that there's a barostatic system that in case an ejection happens at very higher altitude. So if the pilot wants to eject at a high altitude, let's say 30,000 feet, the seat would keep the pilot on the seat itself, and it would stabilize the fall with the drag chute, and there's an oxygen bottle on the side that will keep oxygen flowing through the mask of the pilot. That would happen all the way to, depending on the settings, between 10,000 and 15,000 feet. That's when the sequence would start again and the seat band separation would happen. At that point, the pilot gets separated from the seat, and he would stay with the parachute, which is this section right here. So the seat would get away, and the pilot and the parachute for the pilot would open, and then the pilot at that point would come down just with the parachute and the survival kit underneath the legs. Okay, here we are. Thank you for being with us today. I hope I wasn't that boring. I tried to make it as efficient as possible. Hopefully we got to know the F-104 a little better, and thankfully we're still flying it today. It's an extremely unique aircraft and with a very unique envelope. It's a masterpiece that I'm very glad that the company is still being able to keep in operation and useful for many entities out there, including test pilot training. I want to thank you, Sean, Gary, Bill, our crew chiefs, Director of Maintenance, and Matt, our Director of Public Relations. And hopefully we'll see you soon. We're going to have more to come. We're going to talk about the single seat, the extra features of that airplane, and a few more flight videos, which I guess you're all going to enjoy even more. Thank you again, guys, and I'll see you soon.